Hey guys, so interesting view, right? Well, I've already fixed these, but I have to take them apart one more time. I need to put some dielectric grease. I was out, so when that shows up, I'm going to tear these apart. But I want to show you guys how to fix these, and I'll tell you the issue I had. So the horn button here, every time you push it down, it stayed down, it's stuck. Start button over here, same thing. Blinkers, half the time they didn't work. Half the time you'd have to sit here and mess with it, hit it over a few times before you could get the left to work, and then you'd have to play with it to get it to shut off, and the same to get the right to work. Okay guys, so we're gonna take these here back apart. I've already fixed them, but I need to grease a couple things in there. So on these you've got 2 screws there you got to take out, and then you can get this piece broken in half. And the one on the other side where the clutch cable's at, or the clutch lever, it's the same way. It's got 2 underneath. So I'll get you guys set back up and we'll get this tore apart. I'll show you what's on the inside and how to clean them out so that they're not sticking anymore and everything is making good contact. First thing you want to do, take that screw out. Now on this one, it's got a little bracket which helps hold the throttle cable in place, and you'll have to let the screw down first, and then you can get that little holder there off. So this is come apart here. Oh, I lost my little plug piece there. That's okay, I'll get that in a second. So if you look here, go ahead and get this throttle cable out of there. That's where your little nub on your throttle cable goes, and your cable goes through there, and that will just pull out of the bottom like so. Okay, so up here on the top is your run switch, and you can take that out and clean it. What I generally do down in this bottom part, it tends to collect lots of gunk, so I'll take everything out of there and take this and clean it out really good. You know, take it to the solvent tank or something. Let me get down here, go ahead and tear this apart for you guys. So let's take this little cover off here, and if you're going to go ahead and take this off, something to do too is to put a little grease in here, you know, dielectric grease or some type of pretty clean grease in there, and that just helps this to slide a little better. So take that piece off. You look down in here and there's your start button switch under there, and this one was sticking. You'd have to pull it back out each time. So you want to take that screw out and that screw out. Just plate off of there. Okay. And you want to push in from the outside here. You can get that out. And then this is what you'll want to clean up. You want that nice and clean. Now on this switch here, you can see there's a little ball in there. Now the reason it was sticking is that ball had some rust buildup on it. Let me get this up here a little for you guys. And there's a spring, you can almost see it wrapped around there. And so what I did to get this apart, you can see there's on each side there's a little piece you have to open here, But you want to be careful when you do it because you don't want to lose your ball. So you may cup your hand under it just in case. Now see these contact points here? And on switch here, you want to brush those and clean those up really good. They were pretty corroded on there. You can see where the spring is for the lever to kick it back out, and there's the spring that holds that ball in place. So let's get that ball out of there. Clean that up. I've already brushed all the rust off of it. Set that aside for a minute. That looks pretty good on that piece. We'll go ahead and clean where the ball was sitting here. See, if they would, when they design these things, if they would put a divot here instead of leaving this open, you wouldn't have that issue near as bad. That allows a lot of moisture to attach itself right to that little ball bearing. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of dielectric grease let's put a tiny bit on this plate here, and then we'll coat our ball bearing with it. Set our ball bearing right back in our slot there. Take our lever here, and it's got a little pin on it, a little pivot spot right here that you want to make sure you get set down in there. And then what I like to do is kind of pinch it on each side, and then this little pin here goes into the pivot spot on the top. Put that pin in there. Get it lined up. Get our tabs pushed back down. And there you go. Work that grease around a little bit. You can see how that ball maneuvers down there. So there you go. This switch stuck really bad. Now it doesn't. Another good tip too, if you've got these cables off already, is to take some chain and cable lube and squirt it down here and hold this cable up and let that flow down through that cable, and just keep it sliding nice and clean inside of there. Okay, to get this switch off here, and again, kind of push on the button in the back, and then you can get that piece off, clean it up if you need to. And it looks like this one is cracked. But it's the same thing. You got your tabs here. Which will allow you to take that off. And I haven't cleaned this one on purpose because I want to show you. You guys can see all that dirt build up. Flip that over just in case. That way your ball won't fall out. And you can see that's got a little bit of rust build up on it as well. So you want to clean that up, get, where's my brush? Get you a nice brush. This ball, it has a little piece around the top which holds it in place, but you'll still want to grease that little ball. Good. And you can take it out. You've got to push these two slots here, take a screwdriver or something and push this plate out. That spring right there, and then that ball will come out this way. But this one's still working, it's not really corroded, so I'll just be able to put some grease down in there and get that cleaned up. And then you want to clean these ends on this. If they're really bad, a light, you know, say a brass bristle brush or something would work if they've got, you know, some corrosion or buildup that a light brush like this won't take off. Get a little dielectric grease. Coat that. Probably, if you wanted to rub a little onto this piece here. And then we'll put some back here. Push that ball in. Try to force it down in there. So, all right, you got your pivot piece here that this will pivot on. And then your pin here. Line those up. One second. There we go. So, all right, guys. Now you've got everything cleaned up. You're ready to put her back together. So we'll get our bottom piece here. Make sure you get your wires back behind how they were. They might be different on your bike. There's a slot down here that the bottom of the switch will sit in. We'll go ahead and put our screw back in. I can tell you that's a little bit smoother than it was before. Okay, so that's our top piece. Let me get our bottom piece back together. So you want to kind of turn that to get your switch to go right back down in there. And I always like to go ahead and hook my wire holder back up, just so I'm not having to sit there and try to hold the wire while I'm putting the other switch in. Before you get it tight, make sure you get it pushed in. You always want a little slack in here. If it ever gets pulled, it's not gonna try to rip your wires off the switches. Okay, get that piece back where it was. Put our bracket back on there, like so. Piece back over on the side it was. Take our cover piece. Sometimes this can be a bit tricky to line that screw up, but it's not too bad. Wires, I wasn't paying attention. Need to be here. Okay, so now this piece here needs to go on the outside, and then this goes into that slot there, and then put our cable in there. I rotate this around to the side. You may have to do it like that. Piece goes there. Let me grab my plug that I dropped earlier. Sits, it's got a little notch there, and that will sit down. And I like to go ahead and put this screw in first. Don't tighten it all the way, but tighten it just enough so it'll hold this together for you. Because you want to take this piece here and put it on first and stick your screw up through there. Everything straight how you want it. So there you go, guys. That is the right side. Now we'll go over to the clutch side. Okay guys, so we're ready to do the clutch side. So you got a screw here and a screw here, which will take the two halves apart. I don't usually mess with the clutch cable right away. You can go ahead and take it off if you want, or you can do it after. There is a washer inside of there, so you've got to take this piece out, and then there's two screws that are holding it to this bottom piece. There's a washer in there you'll need to watch out for, and that's one reason I tend to do it after, so that I can catch things in case they want to fall out. But okay, so again, like the right side over there, I haven't done this top switch and cleaned it up. They were working, but I was gonna wait till I get my dielectric grease to tear them apart. The bottoms though were not working. And this side here is much more complicated than that side, because you have your blinker set up, and it's got some linkage in there that sits on top of where your contact sits. And again, you've got your plastic shield here. Tried lowering the camera for you guys on this one. I was working a little lower than what I had it set up on the other side. Get that piece out of there, set it aside, turn this to show you. So here's your blinker switch. You can see how it rocks back and forth. You've got underneath it, it's sliding a plate across on where some contact points are. And then here you've got your same holder, which is holding your wire in place. This screw here is holding your linkage in place, as well as your wire holder screw. And this back here is holding this plate here, as well as it's holding a wire that's running up right here to this plate. It sits right there. So first, what I would do is take this linkage out here. So you want to take these two screws here loose. And then this linkage will just lift out of here, like so. And then I'm going to take and put dielectric grease around this part here. And you can see there's a ball bearing right here. It has a spring that sits behind it, which rides along this ridge right here. And then you can see this piece here, which is what slides back and forth on this contact plate here that your wires are running to. And right here is your horn switch. Next, you'll want to take these two screws here out. This screw I'm taking out now also holds the piece that the ball bearing sits in. And it takes a longer screw because it's running through that bracket piece and not screwing into it. Go ahead and pop that piece out. This is one you'd want to clean that up. Get some grease down in here, which is what I needed to take this back apart to do. Now this piece down in here likes to come out with the switch. I would suggest taking this out first, then the switch, and in reverse when you put it back together, put this in first and then slide this piece down in. And that piece, it sometimes can be a little bit tricky to get out. I may need to grab some vice grips to help me along, or not vice grips, but needle nose pliers. Okay guys, so I've got some needle nose pliers here. I'm just gonna lightly grab that plate. Maybe easier if you grab that center piece like so. Slide it out and your switch at the same time. And then if you need to clean this up, as you can see I've already done, you'll want to go ahead and take this choke cable apart. Take this off, which will drop this piece, and you can get your cable loose. And then there's a washer that sits between it and the bottom of the choke bracket, but there's two screws, one here and right here, that will take this whole piece off if you've got to take this and clean it up. You can see there's that ball, it's under there, and these are both the same. They have tabs you got to pull out to get them apart. Let's go ahead and do this piece here. And if I remember right, there is a ball on the back, and there it is. You can see this piece, your contact points, you'll want to brush those clean. Coat this whole piece here because it slides on it. Do the same back here. This piece, make sure you get that grease pushed down in there. Put a little bit on the back plate here. And then we can put this piece back together. You can see that it's got some notches there. That is where your ball bearing will ride. Just go ahead and set that piece in there and hold it. Slots. Oops, I got it down too far. There we go. These aren't pinching quite like I'd like. There you go. So that piece is good to go. Now let's take this piece apart. Guys, I'm gonna have to let you go. I got a little visitor I need to take care of. Apologies, guys. Let's go ahead and take that piece off there. This is another one I hadn't cleaned up too well. Set that aside. This piece here, you've got a ball that sits down there. This spring will sit on that ball, and here's your contact points you want to clean up. It doesn't look like I cleaned this one. Or if I did, I didn't do a very good job. So make sure you get your ball out of there. Get that cleaned up. Get my brush. Let's go ahead and slide this piece out. These can sometimes be a little bit of a pain to get out. Brush this, get all that gunk out of there. Brush this up nice and clean. Sorry for the jingle jangle. Brush this up, cleaned. A little bit of dielectric grease. There. Just a little bit. There. Now, let's get our ball and our base piece here. Go ahead and let me set this aside for a minute. Go ahead and put this piece back in. Let's see. Oh, it was this way. Okay. Now we can get our ball. Get some grease on it, and the grease will help you as well keep that thing in place. You can see it's not even wanting me to stick it down where it goes. There we go. Take this piece, and it has a spring that sits on it there. Slide it back on, push down over our pivot piece. And we'll get our top cap, and it has a pin. We'll go in that hole. We'll snap the sides back on. I want to brush. Check it out. Work the grease a little bit. Seems to be working fine. Sorry guys, now I need to do this switch. Where to put my screwdriver? There we go. Got a side, lots of pieces on this side. If you can't remember where they all go, it's good to you know, maybe take a picture before or set things in order as you take them apart so that you know where they go. Same on this switch. Push it in from the outside. And there's the notch that it sits in right there. Same. Tab there. Tab there. This one's not wanting to come apart very easy. There she goes. Hold that over just in case. And you can see that rust buildup on that ball. That definitely needs some work. It's cleaned up. Scrub the contacts on the back. The contact points, I guess. Put some grease on them. Get our switch. Grease. Grease on there. Our top. Pivot back in its spot. Pry our tabs out. Get her snapped in there. Double check. That is definitely smoother than it was. So alright guys, we've got everything pretty much greased up and ready to go. So now it's time to put this thing back together. So okay, this is our top piece here. There's our screw hole. Our screw in there. Now we need to put our wire holder on the back on there. Okay, so the top is back together. Now we gotta do the bottom. And the bottom is a bit trickier. So if you remember, start with this switch in first. And basically you have to put these two in simultaneously. It can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. Lots of things in the way. There it goes. You want to make sure you get it pushed down all the way. You might take your screwdriver and double check that you got it down. Put our back together. Kind of hold that stuff in. Get our wire out of the way there. That piece in. If you remember, this side takes the longer screw. I'll put this piece back on. I got things twisted. Piece sits like so. Takes the shorter screw, which I'm going to have to put on the screwdriver first. So now we can take our linkage here. Make sure it's lined up. It does have a notch, but go ahead and tighten it all the way. Make sure things work right. See that one of my fins here is bent a little bit. So alright guys, the next piece is our cover piece here. There you go guys. The next step is to slide her back together. Before you finish tightening it, get it lined up where you want it. And the next thing you'd want to do would be to actually turn your key on and double check. Make sure that everything's working, make sure that you got it back together correctly, and that you don't need to take it back apart and fix something. So alright guys, that is how to clean out your handlebar controls. Clean up your switches. Get everything where it's working how it should without having to replace any parts or spend any money. So hope you enjoyed and hope that helps a little bit. Thanks for watching guys. Until the next one.